Hey, I'll give you a quick rundown on how I built this entrance here. So I've got 8-inch pipe on all these shorter posts, 10-inch pipe on that, and then I use that composite decking so you won't ever have to stain it and worry about it, the lumber rotting and everything else. This stuff should last pretty much forever. So when you're doing a big entrance like this, one of the main things you want to start with are these 4 outside posts, or however many you got, the ones that are in line with your fence. You want to make sure those are all level and straight. So I set these first. Use a string line and make sure those are all in line, and then also make sure the height is in line. It's kind of tricky. Like on this side, this fence is pretty level ground, but over here the fence starts to fall a little bit. So the problem you run into is if you make these 2 posts and the top rail of these 2 posts level, and then that fence immediately runs downhill. You probably can't tell too much from the video, but anyways, if you made that level and then that fence runs downhill, it's going to look funny. So you kind of have to run this side downhill just a little bit to kind of match that fence over there. So I get these 4 all lined up, and then come inside and line up those 2 holes right there. Then once you get those, these ones in the middle are real easy. You just pop a string line here and you can make sure and have those all in line. And then the first thing I did after getting all these posts in the ground was to set this big post. Well, luckily I've got a sky track with a big basket on top that I can stand in and get all this done. But I had to saddle that pipe out so it would sit in there just right. Saddles can be tricky sometimes, especially on the large pipe. So what I do is, so that's a 10-inch pipe, so I just took half that and I got my 5-inch. So I start at the very top of the pipe, and I'll back up one. You want to make sure that's to get that level across there. You know, luckily I've got a laser level, but you can do this with string and a piece of pipe or anything. You can level across the bottom and get it level and make 2 marks, and then measure up the exact same on each one. What I do is I just measure both of them, whichever one's the shortest, I use it, because then you know you can't get any taller if one's shorter. So anyways, measure up the same amount each side. So let's just say this is the very top of the pipe, and this is 10-inch pipe. I want to come down 5 inches, and then you can use your tape measure or a piece of string and hold that exact measurement, and then go out that way and out that way and make your half circle. Cut that half circle out and it'll be pretty close. Then you can set that, and then if you have to make any adjustments, you can always cut it later. On this one I decided to cut those at 45. If you can find some place that has a large bandsaw, that made it a lot easier. What I did is I just put a big speed square on there and got, you know, the speed square is flat and that's round, so you kind of have to eyeball a lot of it, but it turned out all right. So I got those in, got all these set. So on the back side, I know I wanted that top pretty straight and something pretty solid, so I took that's almost 2-inch pipe. I think it's 1 3/4 inches, just something I found that had a good deal on. So I welded that, made sure all these, use a string line. I tie a string line from here all the way to that one and pull it really tight, and that way you can come and mark all these tops. That way they're all the same height. Then I put all these top pieces in, and then to give myself something to screw to, so I use, this is called base angle. It's 2-inch by 4-inch, and it's pretty thin metal, so these screws, you can screw into it pretty easy, but then at the same time, it's being an angle, it's got enough support that it'll, and especially welded this, you've got pretty strong thing to. And I put the same thing on here, except I didn't use the pipe. I figured it'd be strong enough just to base angle it by itself. Use something to screw to. And then after that, it was just simply cutting all these the same length. And then after I cut those the same length, I took one at the top and one at the bottom, kind of trim it out. And I kind of had to cut it at an angle. Since that pipe's just a little rounded, I cut this top here at an angle, so it's sitting there as tight as I could get it. Same with these. Not a perfect cut, but it works. And you can see some of these, how some are kind of bowed in and out. So this is a little more flexible than I thought. It's the first time I've ever used this composite decking, so I didn't know what to expect. And so after getting it all up, I noticed that I'm gonna have to have a backer on the back of that. So I had to order some more of this. It came in, I'll do that tomorrow. So I'm just gonna measure and go halfway in the back side and pop a string line with a chalk across that, so all my screws are exactly in line. And then I'll suck these all up tight where that'll pull those all in where it's all nice and smooth across there. And I've got a bit that's got a countersink on it. It drills a hole and then also puts a countersink on it as well, so it kind of hides those screws. And for all of these, I bought the smaller headed screws, so it'll look a little better anyways. Anyways, there you go. If you have any questions, just let me know. Be happy to help you guys.